Oh, this is it. My big chance. That's how it feels anyway. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to work in medicine. To help other people, to make a difference. Or at the very least, to introduce myself in a tasteful voiceover. So now, working here alongside these doctors I really look up to, it feels like I'm doing something positive and getting experience before med school. So I want to prove that I'm capable. Take right now, for example. I've been tasked with consenting a potential patient for Dr. Linwood's clinical trial. And it's a big opportunity.
So it has to be done right. I just don't want to screw it up.
Miss Patel?
Oh,
So, Dr. Linwood says I can get a new treatment?
yes. Well, no, not exactly. It's a little more complicated than that. Thank you for agreeing to take part in this clinical trial. Let's go over this document, which will explain.
Right. Look, I'm ready to sign my life away. Just show me where.
Oh, boy. Mr. O'Malley, you might want to think about this in a different way. Do you know what a clinical trial is?
Yeah, totally. I love clinical trials. They're just so clinical.
Right, I guess I like them too, but Mr. O'Malley, it's important that I give you this informed consent form. Clinical trials are research studies that test new treatments to see how well they work. So it answers questions such as safety, side effects, benefits, and whether some people will benefit more than others.
Hey, I got this.
Good, because I sure don't.
I mean, didn't Dr. Linwood prepare her for people like me? Prepare her for people like me?
Jane, hey there. Did you see my email about the informed... Hey, it looks like you're reading up on the Bozeratol trials. Great initiative, Jane.
Yeah, you know me. I love these things. Your email, the trials, it all looks really great. I just can't get enough of this stuff. I find it very thorough. Take it easy, Jane.
Right. So we're ready to move ahead with the phase 2 study of the Zu-Holohan syndrome research, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled. As you know, we had a very successful phase 1 study with healthy volunteers, and now we're ready to evaluate Bozeratol in patients suffering from these debilitating headaches. So I'd like you to take on a little more responsibility.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll get back to your email right away. I should probably read this email.
Great, please do, because the steering committee is concerned that we're really behind in patient recruitment, and this is really important to our lab. And if things go well, this will look great on your letter of recommendation.
That would be awesome. Thanks.
Okay, and again. Martin, based on your labs and this latest checkup, I think you'd qualify for a research study I'm working on.
What's the study?
It's clinical trials for a new drug called Bozeratol, and I think it may be effective in managing your headaches.
Manage my headaches.
Yes, so far the side effects reported have been minimal to tolerable, but we would like to find out a little more definitive safety data. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, these headaches are really... But I'm not really interested in being a guinea pig.
Martin, I believe that this drug has the potential to make a huge difference in the lives of people suffering just like you. But we'll never find out if we don't get enough people to take part. You can always back out at any time.
Yeah. Anything to help these headaches.
He really is perfect for the study.
Yeah, he meets all the eligibility criteria.
We couldn't have asked for a better subject. The steering committee chair will be very pleased to hear about this.
Right. So what exactly did you tell him already?
Jane, you can do this.
I know, you're right. It's just sometimes I have this little voice in my head telling me that I'm not qualified.
You're not qualified.
Or that I shouldn't be doing this.
Exactly. You should not be doing this.
Jane.
What I mean to say is, I'm not really feeling prepared.
Okay, well, don't worry. It's easy. You've done the training, and it's all based on the Belmont principles.
Right.
So let's hear some.
The Belmont principles.
Which are?
The ethical conduct of human subject research demonstrates respect for persons, beneficence, and respect for persons, beneficence,
And justice.
Do you remember the third principle?
yeah, I just said it.
You said 2 out of 3.
You mean you didn't hear that?
In 1979, the US government published the Belmont Report, which summarizes the ethical principles that guide all human subject research. At their core, the principles respect the participants' autonomy to make the decision for themselves whether to voluntarily participate in or withdraw from research. In addition, researchers must make all efforts to maximize potential benefits and minimize potential risks to participants.
Finally, we must consider whether all participants are treated justly, or whether issues such as bias or vulnerability mean one community bears a greater burden of the research risks.
In practice, this means that researchers should be as transparent as possible with a potential human subject, that we should provide them with all the information they need to make their decision of whether to participate.
Wow, impressive.
Thanks. So, what are some elements of a good informed consent?
Is this a quiz?
No. But yes, it is.
Oh, well, at minimum, there should be a study description, risk-benefit discussion, a discussion of alternative procedures, confidentiality policy, and compensation.
Don't forget, treatment for injury, contact information, and affirmation of voluntary participation.
That's great. Well done. If you keep this up, my letter of recommendation for you will be sterling. So here's the informed consent form. Take him through it point by point and answer any questions he may have. I'd really like him to be in this study. The department could use a little boost.
Jane, this is pretty complicated, but so say what you want to say and I'll sign it.
Mr. O'Malley, this form is to get your consent. If you don't know what's in it, then in any way, treatment is assigned randomly, so you could be placed on the placebo so that researchers
A
can...
placebo? Like, not the drug?
Well, yes, potentially, but the important thing to remember is...
What am I doing here if I'm not getting the drug?
I'm sorry, did you just...
Look, why don't you see to it that I'm not on the placebo list, and I'll sign the forms.
I can appreciate that, Mr. O'Malley, but this is a double-blind design, meaning neither you nor the researcher, Dr. Linwood in this case, would know who was on the placebo. So, you're invited to consider taking part in a research study. Taking part is
Treatment,
entirely voluntary.
research. Just let me sign the forms.
Mr. O'Malley, these guidelines have been put into place to protect you. And, I'm sorry, have you been speaking to me through voiceover?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh.
Dr. Linwood says I can get treatment. It's research, I get it. I'm consenting. Let's just do this, okay?
Mr. O'Malley, unless we do this right, I don't know if this is something you should be getting into.
Sorry, but I'm feeling like you're really trying to convince me not to be part of the study.
No, Mr. O'Malley, you should be in the study. But again, Bazaretrol is an experimental drug, meaning there could be side effects, there could
Hey, I get it. Honestly, anything is better than these headaches. Is this where I sign?
Oh, boy.
Done.
Okay, I'll make a note, and
Glad we could work it out.
Mr. O'Malley, please understand, by signing this document, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get the active treatment. You may be removed from the study if an investigator determines that you're experiencing study-related injury or you don't comply with the study plan. I don't think I did this properly.
You said it, not me.
Jane, you know that's not how this is done.
But he was so persistent. Plus, I think he had some kind of ESP or...
Jane,
Okay, so there were a few problems with his consent.
a few. Dr. Wu called him when he saw your note. Martin's convinced he's going to get the drug.
I tried to explain the study to him, but he wasn't cooperating, and I thought he was gonna leave.
Jane, I should have stressed that obtaining an informed consent is much more than just getting a signature on a form. Just because Mr. O'Malley agreed to participate doesn't mean he fully understands the ramifications. Did you promise him he would get the study drug?
Well, I thought maybe you said something, and so
Jane, this is a huge ethical issue.
Did you get in trouble?
It's a little embarrassing.
Oh, all right. So what can I do?
Well, I've already called the head of the Institutional Review Board, and she said that if we wanted him to stay in the study, that we would need to reconsent him properly.
You want me to do it?
No.
Oh.
And to be honest, I think I wasn't as clear with him as I could have been about the difference between treatment and research.
How do you mean?
To put it simply, treatment is for the benefit of the patient. My ethical obligation as a doctor would be to act in the best interest of their care. But research is for the benefit of future patients. My professional obligation as a researcher would be to act in the best interest of the study. Sometimes these two roles can come into conflict, and I think I may not have given it enough attention.
So it wasn't entirely my fault.
No, in this case, I also made a mistake. I think Martin came away from our first conversation believing that his involvement would be therapeutic,
Instead of understanding that it would be investigative.
and that was a problem.
Right. That makes sense.
And so weird he could hear my voiceover.
Glad you understand. It's important to be explicit and clear, no matter how you convey it, Jane.
Wait, you can do that too?
Of course.